Hi again, Mrs. Black here. I am going to now take you on a tour of our ALEKS classroom and kind of just show you around a little bit. If it's a little overwhelming because there's quite a few spots I need to show you, please just take time. You can rewatch the video. You can reach out to me if you have any questions at all. Okay, so here's what I'm going to show you. That when you log into ALEKS for the first time, this is what you're going to see. You're going to kind of get this little window here. You can click next. You may not have the option to skip the tooltips. That might be an instructor only because I'm in the student view, but you can just click through here. This doesn't take very long, and then you can get started. So now what ALEKS is going to do is it's going to give you some tips here. So they're telling you, here's your main menu. Click next. Your notifications will show up here. Click next. This space suggests to you what you should be doing next. Okay. And then the first tool that you have to do, or the first thing you have to do, is go through the ALEKS tool tutorial. So you get started on that, and I highly suggest you go through this, okay, because they're going to show you some different features and different ways to do things. So take the time to go through that. I am going to skip the tutorial, but I don't believe you have that option, but I'm going to for the sake of time. But you go through and do what it asks you to do, click next, and then continue on. It doesn't take very long. So once you've completed the tools tutorial, you get this little window here. I'm going to click continue. And so that means you can now do the initial knowledge check. And the initial knowledge check is on that list of things that needs to be done before next week starts. Okay. So this initial knowledge check is going to show you and me what skills you're bringing into the class. Okay. And so what's so great about that is that any skills that you bring in, you don't have to work on during the class. Okay. Now, what that does not mean is you wouldn't be responsible for some of that knowledge on a test. Okay, it's going to assume, since you brought that in, that you know it. So it could still show up on a test, but I don't want you to stress too much about that at all. So the initial knowledge check, you would click start, and I'm going to go through a couple of things here with you on the knowledge check. I'm going to click through this screen real quick here. And all right, so this is just kind of an example of what's to come. I will say one thing about this with the calculator. This particular note says you can use the ALEKS calculator when it appears. If you have your own calculator, and this is a similar model to one of the calculator I said that you could get. A lot of times they're blue, but they might be green or pink or purple, but it's a Texas Instrument scientific calculator. You can use this for everything, okay? So you can use a calculator throughout the knowledge check, even if that ALEKS calculator is not there. You can use your calculator. The other tip they're giving you is to use the I don't know button if you really, really, truly have no idea where to start. Okay, so I'm going to click start the knowledge check. Okay, this is typically 25 to 30 questions. I suggest that you sit down and do it in one sitting if at all possible, but you can start it and come back to it. So you're going to see these problems here. You're going to go through and answer the question. So I'm just going to answer some questions just to, I'm not even trying to calculate anything. So my answers might be wrong. So I'm going to click submit. It's going to take me to the next question. So I'm going to put this as a fraction and click submit. I'm going to click I don't know. And so it gives me another little prompt here. Are you sure you don't know it? It encourages you to try to solve it. And then if you still want to click I don't know, you can do that. So you would just progress through the knowledge check until you reach the end. I am not going to do the whole knowledge check. I'm skipping it. You won't have this option, but I'm skipping it. And I'm just selecting something just so I can give you an example to look at. Okay, once you finish the knowledge check, you're going to get a pie like this, a colored pie. And so the shaded part shows what you know from each of these topics that's listed over here. Okay, now what I want to tell you is that you are really not focusing on doing a pie piece at a time. This pie is going to be filled in kind of willy-nilly. Some of them you're going to get some orange topics, some purple topics, maybe some orange topics. You're going to kind of be jumping around. So the pie colors and the pie pieces are not our focus. Okay, they are going to come up, but you're not going to focus so much on doing all the fraction topics and all the real number topics and so on. You're going to focus on doing what has been spelled out for you over here. So after your initial knowledge check, when you log in, when you've logged in, you will see this. This is a screen that comes up. Okay, so I'm going back to the pie. So you'll click start my path the first time. After that, it will say continue my path. And so notice here, this is our first unit. I have 19 out of 23 topics completed, and this is due by 11 p.m. on August 25th. So I'm going to start my path. And when I do that, I get another little help box here. It says this is your learning page. So this learning page is where you're going to get examples and discussion and explanations about the different topics. Okay, so when you've read through the explanation, you can click the start. Now, before I do that, I want to show you these tools here that are on the learning page. Now, again, the calculator's marked out here because they don't really want you to use a calculator, and there's not really like calculator buttons you can push to do this one, really. But regardless of whether the calculator is available here or not, you may use your calculator. Okay, this takes you to some videos. So if I click on that, you'll notice there's quite a lot of videos available there. This is an ebook, so I can go to the ebook. Dictionary, they'll define the word difference for this particular problem, but there's lots of other words in there. The message center, you can use this to send me a message within ALEKS, and I will get a notification to my IVCC email that somebody's messaged me there, and I can check it, but we can communicate within the message center as well. And then there's the print button. So when you're on a learning page, you read through things. I'm going to click start here just to show you a little bit. So I got a little box here that says this shows you how many correct answers you need in a row for this topic to be considered learned. Okay, so I'm going to click next. Again, it's directing me to the explanation button. And so I've got the first three terms of an arithmetic sequence are as follows. Find the next two terms. So I'm going to go ahead and answer this question just to show you what's happening. And so I think I've got it. I'm going to check it. I got it correct. And then notice up here, the first little green bar got filled in. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. It's going to give me a new problem. And I get that one, and I'm going to click check. And now notice I got two in a row, so I got double credit. So that's kind of nice to do. So I'm going to click next. And I'm actually going to answer this one incorrectly just to show you what happens in the bar there. 7, 32, 39, and 7. I'm going to answer it wrong. Okay, so look, I didn't lose both of the green bars that I had just earned. I only lost one of them. So I can come back and recheck it. And it gave me that one back. And so now I need to answer another one. So let's see if we can get this right. All right, I got double credit again. So my bars are all filled in here. I click next. It gives me a little bit of feedback, and I clicked next. So I completed a pie slice. So yay, yay. All right, now again, the pie slices aren't our main focus here. So one of the things it's showing me here is I can use the arrow to see other topics to work on. So anything that doesn't have a lock on it, I can work on. So none of these are locked, so I can choose to jump around here if I want to do that. Okay. So I can do that. You can always kind of toggle here, but not everything's going to be available to you. But I would just focus on what's on the weekly schedule and work on things that are listed in that order. So I can jump around there. Now, what I want to do at this point is kind of show you what's happening in the main menu, because you can jump around here. So if you go to the main menu, the home button takes us back to that initial login screen. Okay. Learn takes you to a learning page, the next one that you have to do. The review page. So this one is really interesting. So the review section, this is more of a cumulative review. So as you work through different topics, more topics are going to come up for review here. Now, you can use this to review for the unit tests, but when you're trying to review for a unit test, you want to use that drop-down menu. And then right here where it says review, you want to select, what you want to review. So let's say it's later in the semester and you're getting ready for test 4 over chapters 6 and 7. So let's say you want to go in and review, you can select chapter 6, and then it will only give you topics that you worked on in chapter 6 to review. Okay, so it really kind of hones in on very specific topics. Okay, so that's the review, and I'll answer questions about that again another time if you have them. Assignments, there's not really going to be a lot there. It's what's currently open and available. Okay, that's what's under the assignments. The worksheet feature, I don't recommend you use. You can generate an ALEKS worksheet yourself, but this ALEKS worksheet is going to be a cumulative review worksheet. You cannot get specific by chapter. And so that's why I say, don't spend too much time creating worksheets for yourself. The calendar is what it is. The grade book, I want to talk to you a little bit about this. Okay. I don't use the Blackboard grade book at all. Okay. We do not use the grade book in Blackboard. All of our grades will be here in ALEKS. Okay, but here's how the ALEKS gradebook works. In this blue area, if you see my mouse, that's your overall ALEKS grade. Now, what you need to know about that grade is it does not update as you complete things. It updates by due date. Okay, so anytime a due date passes, this grade is going to update. So you have to wait for the due date. Okay, so that's how it's a little bit different here. Okay, so just know that if you go, well, I got 100 on something, but it hasn't updated, once the due date for that assignment passes, that grade will update. Okay. Also in the main menu, reports, you won't really use. The message center I talked about already. If you decide that you want a physical copy of the textbook, you can come here. You can either access the ebook or you can click here to order the printed version. The downside to this is you can't use your financial aid, like your bookstore voucher here, but what you could do is wait if you have any money coming back to you in a form of a refund from your financial aid book voucher. Then once you get that refund, you could use that money to purchase a book. Okay, so just know that that is an option. The last piece of the menu is the dictionary, and I talked a little bit about that when we were on the learning page. So that is where I'm going to go back to the learning page. And remember, this is your main menu. You can navigate around as much as you want to. When you're on a learning page, this is going to be the last thing that I need to show you. Actually, I have a couple things. So anytime you see a light bulb, that says more, or it might say why, you're going to click on that. Another little box is going to open. And I encourage you, anytime you see those, click on them, take a minute to read them, because sometimes they give you an alternative process for doing something or an alternative method, or they just give you a little bit more background information. So I would highly suggest clicking on those when you see them. The other thing that I would encourage you to notice is if you would prefer to have the learning page in Spanish, you can click on that and then the learning pages will be translated for you. So you do have that option to toggle between Spanish and English, just, if anybody's interested in that. And that'll go. Sometimes you get another explanation option at the bottom of the page. So you can toggle back and forth there. Just, look around, play with it a little bit and see what's there. That's all I have for you with the tour of ALEKS. But as I said before, if you have any questions about anything, whether it's ALEKS or Blackboard or the math content, reach out to me. Let's see what we can do and what we can come up to set up a time to get together. So take care. Have a great day.